Hey guys, welcome back to another SUPboarder review, and this week we're going to be looking at 2016 Starboard All Star, and this one here is the 14 foot. About the company, Starboard are one of the largest SUP brands in the world, and they're very much known as the innovators of SUP. This model we've been testing is 14 foot long, 25 inches wide, 8.7 inches thick, 289 litres, has a weight of 11.6 kilograms, and the full carbon retails at 2,549, and the carbon hybrid retails at 1,649. The materials of the full carbon, obviously it's got carbon, it's got glass, and it's also got a wood laminate thin 0.6mm layer of pine underneath your standing area as well. Who is this board designed for? This board is designed for all-round racers of all abilities, from people who are just getting into racing or just want to paddle fast to the high-performance World Cup athlete. So the SUPboarder first impressions of the 2016 All-Star. Straight out the box, it looks incredibly well finished and a really cool colourway. As with a lot of the 2016 Starboards, they have a really funky colourway with their reds and blues and their striped lines this year. Comes with multiple carry handle or attachments for box style racing. You get two carry handles. There is about 4 or 5 different carry positions you can put it on. This has only got the single handle in the middle. Has a centre leashing point here for fixing your leash, and it's also got a traditional fixing point at the back there. There's a FCS attachment unit here that you can screw GoPros and stuff like that. You can even get water bottle attachments, so you can have that sort of stuff. Let's have a look at the shape, and I'll try and do it in a non-geeky, techie way because there's so much going on with this board. Starting at the top and the front of the board, we have a much more rounded nose than last year with a slight bit of V in the centre. So there's a lot more volume in the nose, which really aids well for downwinding, getting the nose up in those choppy conditions. Moving back towards the board, then you have a bit of a smoother, more domed deck in front of the standing area, and then it comes into a recessed deck with a really nicely finished off, with the EVA pad is finished off. Then pretty much flat all the way to the tail, but with the deck pad right to the tail, so it's really easy doing step back turns. When the water's coming down off the board, it does shred the water straight off the back of the board, nice and comfortably, and then when you get near the back of the board, you'll notice it's a nice square, sharp rail to release the water as fast as possible. Okay, moving on to the bottom of the board, let's turn it over. So starting at the very nose of the tip of the board, a nice round nose that's coming down to a flat section here where the starboard man is. So if we look here, there's just a flat section, and the rails are slightly curved and slightly beveling off. Moving back further, then what you start to see is this concave. This concave you might have heard people talking about is starting to occur here, and the rails at the end are starting to slightly curve off, starting to bevel off at the sides. Moving back to the midsection where you're going to be standing, the business end of the board, let's say, you're going to have a deeper concave again altogether. It's almost a centimetre deep there, and at the side the bevel is coming off but a bit more angle, but what's actually happening now is the bevel is starting to have a slight concave on the sides here. Okay, we'll talk about that again in a minute. Bigger concave in the middle, bevel with a slight concave at the sides. Moving back, the concave is still deep, but it starts to get thinner because of the width of the boards coming in, and the bevel is still a decent depth, let's say, off the board. And then moving right back to the tail, the rails all start to sharpen up. The concave actually gets accentuated even more, but pulled into a smaller gap, pushing towards the centre US box fin. Okay, so there's flat, there's concave, there's V, there's double, there's triple concave, there's a lot going on. So what's basically happening is the water is coming down the centre of the board, it's getting held in the flatter section. So you're pushing the water along, it comes onto the flatter section of the board. Then it starts to feel the concave, and it starts to group itself in this area here, and the water and it flattens off here. So you've got a stability starting on the rails, and you've got concave where the water's holding in the middle. Then you move back again, you've got more concave, so that water's still getting forced back into the board, which is holding it nice and straight and giving you bits of lift. But then this concave on the rails, on the bevels here, is actually starting to give you stability. So as you move the board side to side, you can actually feel the board is actually pushing back. This is an amazing bit of board shaping. Just in that section there alone, where the concave starts to appear underneath your feet on the bevel, it gives you so much more stability. Having ridden it, and when you stand on it, straight away you notice the stability of this board is unbelievable. And that has to be due to the concave on the bevel rail here, and obviously the big concave in the centre of the board. Moving back, so as the concave is getting deeper and slightly more recessed again, all the water that's being pushed down the middle of the board is being channeled right back into the middle of the fin, which is creating you more lift. And then as the rails start to sharpen up the tail, and as the water all pushes out the back, They're giving sharp rails to try and release the wet water as fast as possible, giving you no drag. So in a nutshell, it's trying to be as fast as possible and as stable as possible, if you just want to think about it like that. Okay, let's have a look at the performance then. Now, I'm not a top racer, put my hands up to that, but I do like paddling fast and I do like catching waves and doing a lot of downwinding and paddling in a wide range of conditions. And that's where this board really does excel. In paddling in wide range of conditions, as in upwind, downwind, or cross shore when you've got chop, because of the stability, because of the rails, it is incredibly easy to paddle. When you're in downwind situations, the nose will always come out. It will never get buried. It will stick under the water will be coming off the nose of the board. It's actually a beautiful thing to watch and it never gets buried. So exceptionally good in downwind performance. And then when you do catch a bigger bump, the sharper rails at the tail really do make the board easy to trim and even surf, to be honest. How fast is the board? Well, I think the world's best at proving how fast the board really is, and it's definitely up there in the world's fastest boards. It feels very fast under your feet and has a huge amount of glide to the board. But the general performance, let's say, of myself, an average paddler that just wants to go out and just catch some waves and paddle as fast as possible down the river, this board is an exceptionally good board. Okay, negatives or downsides to 2016 All Star. What should we say? Great if it's 500 quid. It would be great if we weren't given them because we were sponsored, but let's be realistic. The negatives on this board are pretty much non-existent that we can see. I'm sure some top professional racer, even Connor's probably got some ideas that he'd like to change for next year, but as far as stability, speed and usability, this board is unbelievable. And then moving on to value for money, well, okay, let's say the top end full carbon, it's a lot of money, it's £2,649, but then you can get the hybrid carbon, which is exactly the same board shape, only a little bit heavier, £1,649. So value for money, I think personally, the amount of R&D that's gone into this board, and you can see in it, is outstanding. So the SUPboarder verdict for the 2016 All Star. A bit like the Hyper Nut, this board is not a gimmick. This board really does work well. The stability you get out of this board is unbelievable for the width. If you're into racing or into paddling fast, you've got to try and have a go on one of these in 2016. We hope you found this review interesting and informative, and if you have any questions about this board or other boards we've tested, please leave them in the comments section below and we'll get back to you. Otherwise, thanks for watching.